Welcome to EnVision Center News, where we discuss community impact and involvement with today's nonprofit leaders and philanthropists.
Dorothy, hello and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Very glad to have you as a fellow thespian and lover of the performing arts. And
Very
we're
glad to be here.
Yes, and we're going to talk about all that good stuff. But first, can you bring me back to the beginning? Tell me a little bit about your autobiography. Okay, where you were raised, how you grew up, that kind of thing.
Well, I was born in New York City. My father was a firefighter. My parents divorced when I was very young, and back then it was odd, but the custody agreement was that I spent my school year with my mother and I spent my summers with my father because my mother wanted to get away from it all, so she moved to Montana. So I went to school in Montana and I spent my summers in New York, and I think that's where my love of theater came from because my dad would take me to the theater all the time.
Wow, okay.
And I was just enamored with it. And
You were
I
like
thought,
growing up on Broadway kind of.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So I think that's where the love of that started. And then once I graduated from high school, I did not want to go to college because to me that just seemed like a high school with ashtrays. And I decided.
Not wrong.
So I went on the road with a nightclub act and I sang for 5 years, traveling around the country just in bars around the country. And by the time the band decided that we were done with one another, it's like a 5-way marriage. You just decide to break up. One of the places that I loved in traveling is Seattle. So I drove from California to Seattle, and I was there for a good number of years, had a sit-down gig in a bar. But of course that wasn't enough money, so then I had to get like a job. and I did bartending, waitressing, like, your basic things that all of the starving artists do. Until when I got married and had kids, and then didn't have to work for a while. I was lucky enough that my husband could provide for us. And then one day my son came home from preschool and said that he had to have Nikes. And I said, what? And he goes, well, I can't have just regular shoes. I have to have Nikes. And that's when we decided we needed to get our kids out of that environment and to a place where what they valued was not what kind of shoes were on their feet. So we moved to Sandpoint. We found it quite by accident, driving home from Montana to Seattle. Had to stop here because the kids were misbehaving, and it turned out to be a great place. We spent 3 days here, and it took us a year to settle up business and stuff in Seattle, and then we moved here. And that was 1994, and I've been here ever since.
Wow. Okay, so to go back a little bit, did you get trained in voice lessons or anything? You just naturally were a good singer and you were
Apparently.
able to,
I don't know. There was the way I got into the band was there was a bar in Montana, and they had bands that traveled through, and there was one that came through whose singer was pregnant and was leaving, and so they held auditions, and I thought, well, I'll audition, and they hired me. So
nice.
yeah.
And so you were doing more of the singing types of performances before you were doing theater.
Correct.
Okay. When did theater come into play?
Honestly, when I finally had real time for it. I mean, I had done theater occasionally when I was in Seattle, just small community theaters, little parts, but mostly I was just trying to make a living and survive. So there wasn't a lot of time because it does take time.
Yes.
But when I got here and I was able to be a stay-home mom, I had time for theater. So I did one show, and then my husband and I ended up getting divorced. That worked out really well because now we're great friends.
Okay.
And then when I was a single person, that was my hobby. Let's just say that. There was a company here at the time called Unicorn Players, and I did a lot of things with them, and to the point where I finally became the vice president of that organization.
That was like a nonprofit theater org. Okay.
That was long established here in Sandpoint. And then the kids got older. They needed more of my time. So I didn't do quite as much, but I did.
I thought as kids get older, they need less of your time. That's what I've been told with my littles. Are you telling me it's going to get more?
Well, it just depends on how you look at it. Now we're getting in a different topic, but it just depends on how you look at it as a parent. I felt like once my kids got to be teenagers, 12, 13, 14, they just needed to not be so hanging out in the wind. So I wanted to make sure that they always had Touchstone and that they always had, cooked dinner, cooked breakfast. Like, we were pretty traditional.
Yeah.
So.
No, I see that. I actually say sometimes that I don't even think I'm just starting to become a parent, meaning my oldest is 5. And so I'm actually having to teach her things. This is good. This is bad. Whereas the littles, you're just keeping them alive. You're keeping them fed.
I think you do again, off topic, but I think you put in the good foundation from 1 to 5, teaching them the basics of right and wrong, good and bad, how to feel. Like, how do you feel about that? Like, did that hurt your feelings? Just giving them the basics. And then once they get past that point, then it's just steering. It's just, allowing them to live life in the world that they're living in, which is different than the one I grew up in.
Yeah.
But helping them navigate some tough situations and giving them the opportunity to think it through and make good choices and make bad choices and feel the consequences.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So you were vice president of the Unicorn Players, and then kind of had to pull back a little bit once your kids got older. So then did you just kind of take a pause?
So then I was just doing theater instead of
leading
in it. I was just like auditioning for parts, taking parts that I for parts that I liked. And if there was a show that came along that didn't have a part that really hit me, then I'd pass on that one.
Right.
So I did that for years and years until my kids were in high school-ish.
Did they participate? Did they have the theater bug?
Not one of them.
No, okay.
Not a one. It's just heartbreaking. No,
Could you get them involved in other ways, like doing lights or costumes?
It was just not their thing.
Just not, okay.
Not at all.
All right.
And okay.
That's fine, yeah.
I know. So, but they would always come to the shows.
Sure.
Lucky me, they would come see me.
They cheer you on.
And then they were my best critics, I guess. They would give me their honest opinion, unlike others who might always just say, "Oh yeah, I really liked it." But my kids would go, "Ugh, that was not a good show." I'm like, "Oh, thank you."
Thanks. Okay. All right. So then they're in high school age.
Yep. And then I got really involved, and so.
So you went from being really involved to pulling back a little bit and then back to really involved. Okay.
Which is kind of the beauty of theater.
Yeah.
And, different ages provide different opportunities for you as an actress or as an actor. And I found that I really liked directing. I very much enjoyed directing. So unless it was a part that I loved, then I was going to volunteer to direct. So...
And what was your first show that you directed?
Oh, good Lord. Tiny Tim's Christmas. That was the very first one. Yeah. I had a teeny tiny part in it only because we couldn't get all the parts filled. And there was a couple of little things that I had to just pick up. But it was a great show. I loved it. It was really fun. It was really sweet. It was very well attended. Yay.
It sounds like, it would be, right?
Yeah.
Christmas, Tiny Tim, yeah. Okay, and so then you're directing and you're kind of playing both, you're acting and directing, picking which one based on the show that you would like to do. And this was still with that original group?
That's the weird thing about Sandpoint. There have been so many theater groups since I've been here in 1994. There have been all kinds of things that came and went, like more groups than I can count.
I've heard that.
More groups than I can even remember the names of them all.
Yeah.
But so Tiny Tim's, that was still with Unicorn, but it was shortly after that Unicorn just disbanded because it just got to be too hard. People didn't have time trying to get everybody together for rehearsals, and they were doing bigger shows. They were doing the big, full-on stage with giant built sets, and they were doing the real deal. And so they kind of disbanded, and then I did some things with a woman named Sue Coffey Berg. And I can't remember what her company name was.
Yeah.
Somebody will. And then who else was there? Ron Rigoni, who is still here in town, I think. He did a couple of things with, they had a name. What was their name? I don't remember. I don't remember names.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did things with other companies, but not in a leadership position. So I would audition, or else if asked and I liked the show, I would direct.
And so when did you decide, like, hey, I'm gonna start my own? Like, when did that thought first cross your mind? Where like maybe I'll go.
You're gonna make me cry, aren't you? Well, to be perfectly honest, it never did
Oh,
cross
okay.
my mind. And then my son died. And I had to do something.
Yeah.
And when you're steeped in that, I'm going to cry. When you're steeped in that much grief, you have a couple of options. You can shut it all down and do nothing. You can go even more inward. And to some degree I did that, but for a time. But then I thought, this is not honoring his life and what he stood for and who he was. And so I thought, well, what can I do? What can I do to honor him? And the only thing that I really felt that I was qualified to do was theater. So I started Cade Prophet Memorial Productions, and CPMP for short, because that's a mouthful, I know. And I started talking to friends, and I talked with people I knew and told them I was going to do it, what my idea was, what my vision was for that. And I had a lot of people jump on board. People had worked with me in other circumstances, other plays, other ways, not just in theater, but also in the business world, because I worked at a title and escrow company here for 26 years. So we started.
And did you know, I guess I'd love to hear what your vision was. We talked before the mic started rolling about kind of smaller, more intimate. Was that always?
I like smaller.
Okay.
I like small casts, and I like material that has meaning. I to do a show that's purely for the entertainment of it is worse. It's a waste of time for me. I want a show that maybe makes people laugh and makes them feel entertained, but at the same time makes them think or makes them cry. I want something that I feel like art should draw emotion from people, that art's purpose is to draw emotion from people. And then if you're not drawing the emotion out, then it's just frivolous. And I don't like that. So for me, it has to be. So we did a show not that long ago called Exit Pursued by a Bear. And if you ask me, what is that play about, Dorothy? I would tell you it is a comedy about domestic violence, which sounds really counterintuitive. And when people would ask me that, they'd be like, what? Like how? So, but then when people came to see the show, they ended up leaving in tears and saying, you can't do that to me. Because the whole first part of it is, it has a lot of comedy in it, but it's very emotional. I like things that touch on human emotion and reality. I want to show people various lives on stage so that so it provokes questions in them or makes them think about something in their own life. I want something that's really thoughtful. So that's where I'm at. The next show that I'm hoping to do, if I can find a place, is a show called Trash. And it's about two siblings who have just left their mother's funeral. They don't like each other, haven't seen each other in 10 years. And they're in a garbage dump, and they're digging through garbage because one of them threw out the mother's will. And they unpack all of their family dysfunction while they're doing this. And so you can, if somebody is watching this, they can go, oh, that's how I am with my brother, or that's how my brother and sister are, or that's how I feel about my mom, or that's how I feel about there's a way to relate to it. But then there's a resolution that doesn't, that leaves you in a place where you go, okay, life's challenges can be worked out no matter what. I just like those kind of shows.
Where are you finding these scripts, or where are you finding these stories?
I read scripts all the time.
Just you off the internet, someone sends you one, just kind of all over the place?
Mostly I'll go on all of the sites that have, dramatists and all of them, and just read a little synopsis. First of all, over on the side, you can pick like cast size 5.
Yes, yes, right away.
So
okay.
I'm doing that first to just narrow it down. And then I just start reading the little synopsis that they give you. And if the synopsis sounds interesting, then I'll order the script. And that's kind of usually what I do in the winter months is I just sit, like other people read books, I read scripts. And then I get a stack of scripts that I like. And then inevitably the time comes and I went, oh, I have a script for that. And it works.
So you read the scripts and you you find the stories compelling, the synopsis or whatever, and then you actually read them and decide, okay, that was good. I thought it was going to be good. It was, or that wasn't
You're right.
so good. I'm going to put it over here. And then you sort of just sit on those scripts until you get your cast. Kind of, you might meet someone and be like, you're the person that I needed for this.
I do that sometimes. Every now and then I'll do that, or sometimes I'll do it by timing, like, what's going on in the world and what do people need? Like, do I think that this will bring value to people's lives? So I have right now, I have a stack of scripts, and they're all like this big, but I have a stack of scripts like this that I go and I refresh my memory, like, oh, I forgot about that one. And then when I feel like the world needs something, then I'll do it.
So you don't set for yourself necessarily a goal of like, I'm going to do 2 shows this year or whatever. It's just when I feel that the show needs to be made.
I did have a very set schedule up until COVID. We did.
Sure.
Okay, here we go again. I did 2 shows a year. That was my standard. I always did one on Memorial Weekend because that was the weekend that my son died. And then I did one at the end of October or the beginning of November because that was when my son was born.
Oh.
So I did 2 shows a year. That was my limit. And it worked out really well. And then ended up having a conflict on a date. And I probably got a little more upset about it than I should have. Somebody booked a show Memorial Weekend, and I felt like that was really an unkind thing to do. I want to work with, I want everyone who's doing this to be kind to one another.
Yeah.
And we don't need to step on each other's toes.
No.
So, yeah, that's on me. That kind of really set me off on a bad track for a little bit.
And you were like, that's when you kind of just stepped away for a while? Okay.
And then we had COVID, of course, and that was a challenge too, although we did do one show during COVID online.
Oh, wow.
I know, it was so much fun. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. It was called Do You Feel Anger? And it was so we had rehearsals on, because we couldn't meet, we couldn't do anything. So all of our rehearsals were on everything, and then we broadcast it over Zoom, and I think people paid $10 to sign in to be able to see it. And that's the other thing that I haven't mentioned yet is every bit of money that we make goes to the animal shelter. We cover costs, and sometimes I cover those costs out of my own pocket just because I want to be able to give more to the animal shelter. When my son, Cade, his name is Cade, when he was alive, he used to go, I was a single mom for a lot of years, so we were bored and we needed something cheap to do. So we would go to the animal shelter, and the kids would read books to the animals, or they would, just hang out with the animals because they felt bad for them and my son Cade would call them the inmates. Oh, let's go see the inmates. So up until just weeks before he passed away, whenever he would come back to Sandpoint to visit, he was living in Spokane, he'd go, hey, Mom, let's go see the inmates. So we would go to the shelter, and we're a cat family. Sorry, puppies. But we'd go see the cats. And so we give all of our money to the cats at what is now it's Better Together Animal Alliance. And that's what we do.
Well, I definitely feel that as far as, trying to cover your costs with your ticket sales, but a lot of the times you just end up covering it yourself so that you can give back more.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was a whole lot easier when, people were more reasonable about renting facilities, but
don't get me started. Don't get me started now.
Oh.
Maybe there'll be a new nonprofit in town about bringing a new theater. Who
Well,
knows?
that's what my hope is. Have you ever been to Stage Left in Spokane? It is an old storefront that has been converted to a very small theater. It's 25 feet wide. They've done such a great job of converting this old storefront into a small theater, 60 seats total. The very first time I went to see a show there, they had folding chairs. They didn't have seats.
Yeah.
So it's been, I think it was 2000, I could be way off, but I'm going to say 2013 when they first started. And over this amount of time, they've really, little by little, they've improved their lighting system. They've improved their stage. Like every year they do something to make it better. And that's my hope, my goal, my whatever for Sandpoint. We need a facility like that. I would like to have a facility like that. So not only can we do these kind of plays, but so that kids have the opportunity to come maybe after school and learn theater, learn about it, because nothing builds a kid's confidence more like theater. I'm sorry, it just does.
Yeah.
Get them in front of people, have them explore their emotions, have them memorize, it's such a great challenge for them, and it translates so well into the business world.
Yeah, you don't have to sell it to me.
I know.
I'm there. I'm right there with you. And I'm surprised kind of that your kids didn't find something, because I always say theater's for everybody. Whether you are a nerd who likes with computers, guess what? You can do lights and sound, or you're artistic and like to draw. Guess what? You can paint sets.
Right.
If you want to act, of course, there's that too. Directing, stage. If you're just like my husband, like a big muscly guy who likes to move stuff, guess what? Crew.
Right.
So theater, I feel, is such a gift.
Not to say that they didn't. They did come and help with those kind of things, but very begrudgingly. It was not their, they weren't like joyfully doing it like I am.
Yeah. Well, and maybe when you're born into it, which I wonder about with our kids now that we're running a theater organization.
Right.
Right now my kids are loving it and they're obsessed, but we're going to keep an eye on it, right? We don't ever want it to, we also don't want to ruin theater for them,
Right.
So you got to, with whatever your hobby is, whether it's fishing or soccer or whatever, you don't want to you want your kids to at least have an appreciation for what you appreciate. So you don't want to burn them out in that way. But yeah, I would love to see some kind of venue. And I do think it has to happen the way you're saying. Like it starts off just a box with some folding chairs. And then every season you're kind of adding more and more to it.
And sadly in this community, this is my experience. I could be completely wrong. My feeling is that it needs to be in Sandpoint because people don't want to drive anywhere else. I had an opportunity to do a show for a reasonable cost at the old facility that Dennis Pence owns out past the Schweitzer Cutoff. And they have great places there to do things. And the cost is so reasonable. But when I proposed it to the community and said, hey, if we were doing a show out here, would you go? They're like, all the way out there? So that told me, no, you don't want to drive that far.
Yeah, interesting. Well, we can talk
Right.
offline about some things, some conversations I've had. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm excited so how long has it been since you've put on a show?
A while.
Was it the online one during COVID?
No. Exit Pursued by a Bear was after that, but I think there was another one. But
was it Misery?
Oh, yes, it was.
Because Ken told me about
Yes,
Misery.
it was Misery.
Okay.
God, two people.
Your dream.
Sadly, or whatever, I don't want to be too disparaging. We had to do that one at the Canada. We had to. For what the set required.
Yeah.
It just had to be done at the Canada. And I loved it. We had a great time. And the show went well. And
I heard it was great.
We did well.
Yeah.
We were able to give a decent amount of money to the shelter. So from all of those aspects, it was great. My personal experience dealing with that was not great.
Yeah.
So,
well.
But other than that, it was fantastic.
So that was your last one, or was
Correct.
the Bear? Okay.
Nope,
okay.
that was
your
the last
last one.
one.
So that was 22.
Yeah,
20
that sounds right.
22. So so it's been.
I can check the poster when I get home.
It's been like for almost 3.5 years or so, probably. And so now you're hoping to come back this year with another.
Well, we did one thing last weekend, theater-ish, theater adjacent. We did a dinner theater at Eichardt's.
Oh, wonderful!
And it was really fun. It was called Dying for Chocolate.
Love it.
And I had some of my favorite people participating. Kate played Coco Carmel. And it was, we did it with Eichardt's and split their, they have obviously, because it was dinner, so they had their costs.
Sure.
So we're getting a portion of each one of the tickets that was sold. And I believe there were 40 tickets sold because that's the space. It's a small space. But it went well. It was sold out before the show.
And that must have been like a Valentine's.
Valentine's.
Okay. Smart. Very smart.
So we did that, and that went really well. And then I'm hoping to do trash if I can find a place to do it. I've looked at Evans Brothers, thinking that maybe we can pull it off there. I mean, I'm really looking venue. That's my challenge now is not scripts or not money or not people. My challenge is venue.
Yeah. I think that's really everyone. I mean, not just theater, the dance studios, music schools, everyone is struggling with that same issue.
And the funny thing, well, maybe I'll tell you that later.
We have so much to talk about offline. Okay, so you're looking for a venue, and maybe that's if somebody's listening and they want to help out in some way. That's a way that maybe the community could help. If there's a venue, because if somebody had a big shop that they were willing to host you in, would you use a space like that?
If we could find a way to make it work, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I am not opposed to anything except for, I'll be honest, I don't really want to drive to Bonner's Ferry.
Yeah, to do like use the Pearl
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
Yeah, because that's pretty far away.
And I don't know that we would get the attendance that we would need to pull off the show with the costs, you know?
Yeah. What other are there any other needs that you have? Are you looking for? I mean, I think you kind of know who your talent pool is. You don't host open auditions. You usually just know who you want to cast.
Usually I precast everything because it's everybody's free time, and no one has a ton of free time. So for most people that are participating in theater, this is their hobby. The way some people rebuild old cars, some people go fishing, some people, whatever it is that you invest your money in, that's your hobby. That's what theater is. And if I'm going to spend hours upon hours with people, I want it to be fun.
Yeah.
And so I did hold auditions on a couple of shows and kind of explored that, and it was okay. But
when you're doing these tiny casts,
right.
I mean, and like we talked about, sometimes you might sit on a script till you meet that person that you're going to have fun with, spending time with.
I have 2 or 3 scripts that are 6. One is a 6 and one is an 8. I know.
8. Ooh.
Oh my gosh. And I like the script enough that I would tackle it if I had 8 people that
you trusted, wanted to work with, were talented enough. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay. So what about the other stuff? Like, do you need people helping you out with costumes or set or those kinds of things? Or because you keep it so small, you don't?
All of my actors typically come up with their own costumes. It goes like this. So this person, what do you think? I meet with them each. What do you think she wears? What do you think he wears? What does that person look like to you? And together we develop what that person looks like. And then they will put together their costume and they'll bring it to me and go, what do you think of this? And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then I'll add a few things in because I have buckets and buckets of costumes from previous shows. And we just go at it that way.
Nice.
I want them to be as invested in who their character is as they are in the words that the character is saying.
Sure. Yeah. Lovely. So it sounds like you're a one-woman operation.
Well,
you just need
I need a venue, and I need
people to come and show up and watch.
People will come.
Yeah.
I don't know if you experience this, but for me, whenever I do a show, I'm like, oh my goodness, what if they don't come?
Oh, yeah.
Nobody wants to see this. Oh my gosh,
Yes.
I don't know what I'm going to do. And then they come. It's when we did Exit Pursued by a Bear and I was advertising it as a comedy about domestic violence, I thought, oh gosh, I've shot myself in the foot this time. We packed the venue, and we were at the Little Theater that time, but we packed it every night.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, what else
Here, let me
what
check
do we
my
need to
notes.
cover that we didn't yet? Are you an organization that takes donate, like other than people buying tickets, of course, but
We've had people donate. Like one of the shows that we did was the Laramie Project, which was it was in this town. That was a pretty controversial show to do. Funny thing is, when I introduced the show, each time I introduced it at the beginning, at the opening, I said, y'all think that this can never happen here, but it could, and so let's all be mindful of it. And 6 months later, there was a young man that was exact same thing, was killed in Priest River the exact same way. And so people at that time donated, let's call it sponsored. They sponsored,
Yeah.
We'll cover the cost of the venue. Somebody else said, I'll cover the cost of the programs. Okay, I'll cover the cost of. So we had people that shored us up on doing that. And so we were able to present that program. And then the funds from that program, we gave some money from that program to, then it was Panhandle Animal Shelter. And we gave a small portion of the funds to PFLAG, Friends and Family. And just because I felt like that was something that was really important. We don't live in a community where gay people are widely accepted. So I felt it was important to highlight the fact that no matter how you feel, violence is not the way.
Right. Absolutely. Do you ever have people approach you with shows that they're like,
oh, yes.
Now still, okay. Because I know that you, in the past, you said that people would maybe say, hey, would you want to direct this? But that's still happening. And do people ever write stuff and bring it to you? Like, I wrote, this is my own play.
Oh, that would be so, I would love to read anything. I have a friend that writes plays. We used to do, in fact, they're thinking of doing, again, Unknown Locals. Chris Herron, he's a playwright, and he does some really great shows, but they haven't done anything in years either. Venue issue. Same thing. Always comes back to the venue. Right now, he's been writing, through COVID and everything, he's written quite a few plays. He's very prolific. But there's no place to go.
Yeah. It's a bummer. We all got to get together and make a change and get a venue. I think there's a lot of, I think there actually is, we haven't even, when I say we, I mean kind of my family and people that are involved with my org haven't even really stepped forward and said, we are going after this. And there's already sort of a swelling around, people like you and others who are like, oh, I'd back you up. We need a venue.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, if I wasn't very familiar with Coeur d'Alene and its theater scene, but the Kroc Center has a beautiful theater that they rent out for next to nothing.
Yes. Yeah. It's a bummer.
It is.
It's great for them.
Yes, it is.
It's wonderful for them. And I have been to quite a few plays there now, and it is a great venue. And it's also just amazing that in Northern Idaho, we have such a thriving performing arts theater scene, that we have Coeur d'Alene Summer Theater and Aspire down there, and then there's the Playhouse, and then there's Newport's got stuff going on, and there's a revolving door of theater folks here.
Prior to the past, and I'm going to get roasted for saying this, but I don't care. Prior to the recent influx of people, so let's call it 4 years, prior to that, this community was a wonderful eclectic place for artists and old hippies, and like there was this vast array of different people who really had an artistic bent, and everyone worked together and helped each other out, and that's who we were. And I hope that we can win the battle and get back to that.
You don't think it's that? You think what do you think happened? It's the people that came in didn't have that artistic bent, or?
I think I won't answer that question.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. Actually, and I have one more question for you that's maybe a little spicy, but can you give me an example of a show, maybe one that's popular, like a mainstream show? It could be a musical, it could be a straight play, whatever, that you think doesn't fit kind of, you said, hey, I want my shows to like not just be about entertaining and make people just feel something. Is there a show that you can think of that's kind of popular, a mainstream one that you think is just that kind of entertainment twaddle, if you will, and not that kind of deeper emotional state that you're hoping to get your audience in?
Most of them.
Yeah.
Most of them. It's there are many, there's such a vast array of kinds of plays, and it's like some people like spicy food, some people like mashed potatoes. I mean, it's just a matter of what you like, and I feel like it all needs to be offered.
Yeah.
It's like you have to have all of it. You don't want to just have a constant diet of sugar.
Yeah. Yep. True. Dorothy, is there anything else that we need to make sure people know about you, the organization? Any final thoughts?
No, not really. I just think we're just a small mom and pop organization. So it's just me, my family, my 2 children that are still with us here. And we run the organization. We make the decisions for the organization, which, we're all of the same mindset. It's just, let's do it and donate the money. Like, that's the bottom line. And Mom gets to have fun in the meantime.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So yeah, that's it. So we just need somebody to step up and get us a venue, build us a venue, buy us an old church, do something like that so that we can offer to the community what the community used to eat up, which they have not been able to do much of these days.
There's just not enough being offered to them. They're not getting that feast.
They can't get the feast because the restaurant is owned by a conglomerate. No, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I know. You don't need to say anything more. It's tough. And it's tough. And I hope that a change is coming. And I just really appreciate what you do. I love the performing arts. I want to see the performing arts thrive. If there's any way that we can ever collaborate, or the EnVision Center can help you out, do a podcast or something.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So that's what prompted me. I met Lindsay, and I've forgotten her last name. Help me out.
Morgan.
Thank you. Lindsay Morgan. She came and spoke at the library, and I got to hear about what the EnVision Center is doing currently, but what their hopes and dreams are for the future, which sparked an interest in me. It's like, wow, if they're going to get more of the facility, if there are more spaces open, maybe we could use part of that as a venue, which is what started this whole conversation. I don't know if that's a reality or not, but it doesn't matter because the EnVision Center is doing something for this community that needs to be done.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm excited to see where the EnVision Center goes. I'm excited to see where because there's some other, there's a couple new dance studios in the area. There's I feel this, like I said, this swelling of the performing arts that maybe had kind of fizzled for a while because of COVID and other things, not just venue issues, just the way the world went. And now it's seems to be this resurgence. And so I'm very excited to see what happens next. And hopefully it's good things. And
it will be good things.
Yes.
It will be good things because we have people with heart and who care, and it's going to come back around.
It will. Absolutely. And Dorothy, thank you for being a part of that.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. For more information, you can go to crecIdaho.com. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again soon.